When my husband and I were bowing to each other during our wedding ceremony, a servant rushed in to report that his wet nurse's daughter was attempting to slit her wrists. He remained calm and composed, continuing the ritual as if nothing had happened. If she wants to die, let her. The only one I love is Luoer, and in this life, I'll have no wife but her. A month after our wedding, the wet nurse's daughter was found dead in a ruined temple outside the city. Her death was gruesome, and beside her lay a jade pendant, identical to the one I had. When the news arrived, my husband pulled me into his arms, gently patting my shoulder as he comforted me. Luoer, don't be afraid. She's dead, that's all. It has nothing to do with us. Though we had no children over the years, he never took another woman into the household. My father was even more pleased with him and did everything he could to support him in court. But I never imagined that the day he rose to the rank of Grand Chancellor, he would imprison me and torment me day after day. Lin Shiluo, you killed Qing'er. You should have paid with your life long ago. I've endured all these years just to avenge her. I died from the unbearable pain, my heart filled with endless hatred. But when I opened my eyes again, I was back on the very day of our wedding. I never imagined that the man who had always seemed so gentle and kind would actually hate me to the bone. The red-hot branding iron was pressed again and again onto what little uninjured skin I had left. I shook uncontrollably from the pain. He tortured me with his own hands, one stroke at a time, his eyes filled with madness. Lin Shiluo, how does it feel, this taste of the branding iron? When you burned Qing'er again and again with it, did you ever imagine this day would come? Qing'er was supposed to be my wife, but you, a venomous woman, ruined her. How could I ever be willing to let that go? As the iron scorched my already ruined flesh once more, I could no longer bear the searing pain. I died from it. After my death, my spirit hovered over the He family estate. I watched as He Qingxian smeared my name with lies, claiming he had caught me in bed with another man and that I'd hanged myself out of shame. At the time, my two elder sisters were already married. They were too heartbroken to grieve properly because they had to endure humiliation from their in-laws. With a slutty sister like that, you can't be much better, their husbands said. My poor sisters suffered constant mistreatment. Their husbands kept taking concubines, and eventually both sisters were cast out and sent back home. My mother never believed I had killed myself. She cried every day until she went blind. My father couldn't bear the rumors and drowned himself in the lake. All that was left was my blind mother and two abandoned sisters, barely scraping by. Within half a year, all three of them died in misery. Meanwhile, He Qingxian had already risen to the position of Grand Chancellor, admired by all. People pitied him, thinking he had been betrayed by an unfaithful wife. They believed his every word. And 1 year later, he brought Su Qing'er, the woman who was supposed to be dead, back into the household. The two of them were inseparable and had a grand wedding, with bridal processions stretching for miles. It wasn't until their wedding night that I learned why I'd never been able to conceive. He Qingxian had secretly fed me medicine to prevent pregnancy from the very beginning. Even to their deaths, my parents never knew that the son-in-law they had once proudly helped into power was actually the one who destroyed our entire family. With all my hatred for He Qingxian, I opened my eyes once more, only to find myself back at the very moment of our wedding ceremony. The hall was bathed in red. A giant, double happiness, character hung on the wall, red candles flickered and danced, and guests came and went, toasting and mingling. The matron standing beside me leaned over and gently reminded, "Madam, it's time for the ceremony. Don't get too carried away with your joy." I looked down at the red silk ribbon in my hands, then raised my eyes and saw He Qingxian dressed in bright red groom's robes, a gentle smile in his eyes and at the corners of his lips. Looking at this seemingly warm and gentle man, I suddenly recalled the time I spent imprisoned by him. A cold chill ran through me. I pinched my hand hard. The pain shot straight to my heart. This was real. I had been reborn. The He family was a modest, proper household. His grandfather had once held a fourth-rank official position, and among his descendants, only He Qingxian had achieved any real success, now a fourth-rank official himself. As for my Lin family, my father was the current Grand Chancellor, and my mother was the legitimate daughter of a duke, nobility of the highest tier. The He family had no right to reach for such power. He Qingxian and I were never supposed to cross paths. But fate played its part. One day, while I accompanied my mother to the mountain to offer incense, he was also there, seeking a protection charm for his own mother. That day, we were ambushed by bandits, and he, despite not knowing martial arts, risked his life to save us. Afterwards, he left without even giving his name. But from then on, his figure lingered in my thoughts. Later, during one of my father's meetings in the front hall, I happened to catch sight of that unforgettable face again, and learned his name. He Qingxian, the newly appointed top scholar in the imperial exams. He too learned who I was and deliberately kept his distance. He said I was too far above him, but I didn't give up. I pestered my mother daily, begging her to speak to my father on my behalf. Since he had once saved me and showed no interest in wealth, my mother was impressed and eventually agreed. At first, father was against it, but faced with my mother's and my persistent arguments and He Qingxuan's undeniable talent, he finally relented. Our engagement was soon confirmed. A talented man and a beautiful woman. People praised our match endlessly. Sensing that I had drifted into thought, He Qingxian gently took my hand and stroked it. Luoer, is something on your mind? You seem distracted. I looked up to see his eyes full of tenderness. This same man had kept up a perfect act in front of me for 3 full years. I knew exactly what was about to happen. In my heart, I silently counted down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. His most trusted servant hurried over and whispered something in his ear. I saw his brows furrow slightly, his expression shifting ever so subtly before quickly returning to normal. After 3 years living together, I knew every small gesture of his. Just from a glance, I could read his mood. There was no doubt he was worried. "Husband, what's wrong?" I asked. He patted my hand. "Nothing, just a minor issue." Before his words even faded, a commotion erupted among the guests. I didn't need to look. Su Qing'e had arrived. She appeared delicate and frail, dressed in a white gown that made her skin look even fairer. Tears streamed down her pretty face. With a soft thud, she dropped to her knees before me. "Please, madam, have mercy." She had barely spoken before whispers broke out among the guests. I didn't move. I simply stared at the woman kneeling on the ground. Su Qing'e, the daughter of He Qingxuan's wet nurse, Su Lian, a year older than him. Looking at her like this, I couldn't help but think back to my previous life. Back then, at this very moment, just as He Qingxian and I were about to bow to each other as husband and wife, she had burst into the hall, pitiful in her white dress. He Qingxian had remained calm, his expression composed. He discreetly signaled his aide to escort Su Qing'e out. Then, in front of all the guests, he made his stance clear. If she wants to die, let her. I only care for Shuluo. In this life, Shuluo will be my only wife. He spoke with conviction, his words to my parents full of sincerity. It didn't seem like an act. And since Su Qing'e was the daughter of his wet nurse, a woman of low status, the guests believed it was a one-sided obsession on her part and dismissed the incident. Though my parents were displeased by the disruption, seeing He Qingxuan's clear attitude, they chose to let it go for my sake. The guests, unwilling to offend my powerful family, one being the Grand Chancellor, the other a duke's daughter, stopped talking about it, and the wedding proceeded smoothly. After the wedding, our relationship seemed loving. Seeing how good he was to me, my parents gradually let go of any lingering doubt. My father even helped pave He Qingxuan's way in official circles, smoothing out political obstacles. But the peace ended a little over a month later, when Su Qing'e was found dead in a crumbling temple outside the city. Her death was horrific. There wasn't a single intact part of her body. When He Qingxian heard the news, he personally took his servants to collect her remains. His wet nurse, Su Lian, had died 4 years earlier, so he paid to have Su Qing'er properly buried. While handling her funeral, he held my hand tightly. Luo'er, don't be afraid.
She's dead.
It has nothing to do with us. Those words calmed my heart. After Su Qing'er's death, a jade pendant identical to mine was found beside her body, making me the prime suspect. I was terrified that he would think I had killed her, but I hadn't. The authorities investigated for months and found nothing. The case was eventually dropped. I thought he had truly let go. He treated me just like before. After every time we made love, he would have someone bring me a bowl of medicine to help with conception. Luo'er, give me a child, he would say. I drank it for 3 years, but never got pregnant. People urged him to take a concubine, but he always said he'd have only one wife in this life. I was moved to tears, thinking he loved me deeply, that I had married the perfect man. But everything changed once he rose to the position of Grand Chancellor and my father retired. He locked me away in the residence and tortured me day after day. As for the Lin family, once he gained power, he turned a blind eye. Rumors tore through our household, and he did nothing. I couldn't understand why he changed so drastically until he finally told me the bloody truth. It turned out he had loved Su Qing'er with all his heart. Her thoughts returned to the present. In front of her was the pitiful and delicate Su Qing'er, who was dramatically threatening to commit suicide. She even had a knife in her hand. Madam, may I speak? I know I come from a lowly background and am not worthy of Lord He. Although I'm the daughter of his wet nurse, Lord He and I grew up together. We were childhood sweethearts. The bond between us runs deep. I've loved him deeply for many years and have never considered marrying another man. I beg you, madam, please have mercy. For the sake of the years we spent together, I am willing to serve you and Lord He, even if it means being a servant. I will do so willingly, without complaint or regret. Su Qing'er's heartfelt declaration stirred whispers among the gathered guests. My parents' expressions had already turned dark, especially my father, who looked as if he wanted to drag He Qingxian out and give him a good beating. Looking up at the head table, He Qingxuan's parents had also turned pale. The room fell into a dead silence. He Qingxian called for his trusted aide to take Su Qing'er away. Ridiculous. A wet nurse's daughter, yet you have no sense of propriety. For your mother's service when I was young, I allowed you both to stay in the residence. Now that your mother has passed, I never thought you'd dare to have such thoughts. Utterly absurd. To make such a scene at my wedding with Luo'er, are you trying to ruin it? He signaled his aide to drag her away. Su Qing'er fell to her knees, biting her lip so hard it nearly bled. Tears the size of pearls rolled down her cheeks. She seemed devastated by He Qingxuan's harsh words and let herself be led away without resistance. The knife in her hand had never actually drawn blood. Clearly, she had meant to truly end her life. Wait. I lifted the beaded curtain of my phoenix crown and called towards Su Qing'er as she was being taken away. She froze in place and looked back at me, eyes full of sorrow. He Qingxian appeared slightly startled. His brows furrowed, and a trace of panic flickered in his eyes before quickly disappearing. Are you truly willing to be He Qingxuan's concubine without complaint or regret? I looked at her calmly and asked in an even tone. Su Qing'er's eyes widened, trembling slightly. Yes, madam. Without complaint or regret. Her voice trembled, but her tone was firm. She knelt toward me and gave a deep kowtow. He Qingxian seemed to panic, quickly stepping forward to take my hand. Luo'er, I don't love her. You're the only wife I need. I smiled up at him. My dear husband, I simply don't want others to speak ill of you. Miss Qing'er is loyal and devoted, and her love for you runs deep. If you reject her too harshly, people might criticize you. Besides, her mother raised you. If word spreads, people will say you're ungrateful. Why not take her in as a concubine? It would help calm this storm. He Qingxian fell silent. I knew he was weighing his options. In the end, he was swayed. After all, Su Qing'er was the woman he truly loved. After a long pause, he nodded. I turned and gave my parents a satisfied smile, but they clearly didn't approve. Both of them looked grim. I also noticed that He Qingxuan's parents, seated at the head table, didn't look pleased either, especially his mother. Her glare towards Su Qing'er was downright vicious. Something told me this wasn't going to be simple. Our wedding banquet concluded more or less smoothly, and Su Qing'er was officially taken in as a concubine. That night, the guests had all left. Inside the room, the red candles flickered and crackled. After seeing off the last of the guests, He Qingxian returned to the bridal chamber. He had drunk a little but remained clear-headed. He walked over to the bed, sat down, and took my hand, trying to kiss it. I took the chance to sit up calmly and pulled my hand away. He froze for a few seconds. "Husband, tonight is also your wedding night with Su Qing'er. Are you going over to her?" He Qingxian laughed. "So my Luo'er is jealous?" He playfully tapped the tip of my nose. Although I didn't want him touching me, I couldn't show it too obviously. He was far too clever. I couldn't afford to tip my hand just yet. I met his gaze and pretended to look shy. "Don't worry, Luo'er. I won't let you down. You are my one and only wife." Looking at the deep affection on his face, such impeccable acting, I had to admit, my death at his hands in my past life wasn't entirely unjustified. I estimated the time. It should be about right. After all, if Su Qing'er dared to crash the wedding, she would dare to steal him away on our wedding night. Sure enough, just as He Qingxian reached out to unfasten my collar, his trusted servant called from outside the door. "Young master, concubine Qing is unwell. She's fainted 4 or 5 times already. She needs you. If she's unwell, send for a doctor. This is my wedding night. Is she trying to cause a scene again? How completely improper." Though he said harsh words, the tremble in his voice gave him away. He quickly forced his emotions back under control and put on a cold, irritated expression. He was clearly very worried. But I had to admit, his self-restraint was impressive. I got up and adjusted my robe. "Husband, you should go check on her. It is your wedding night with her after all." He looked reluctant, but I knew he was thrilled inside. Having lived with him in my past life, I was familiar with all his little habits. Every time he was pleased, he'd gently tap his body with his index finger, just like he was doing now. Yet he still kept up that disgusted expression. Truly admirable. "Go on, husband. Come back when you're done. I'll be waiting for you." I fanned the flames once more. Finally, He Qingxian couldn't hold back any longer. He got up and headed out. At the door, he turned and said affectionately, "Luo'er, wait for me." But I knew he wouldn't be back before dawn. I ordered my maid to remove my elaborate bridal crown, washed up, and got ready for a good rest, while also thinking about what needed to be done next. But first, there was somewhere I needed to go. I was dressed in a maid's gown, following the other maids into Su Qing'er's courtyard. I had discreetly used some silver to ensure the other maids left. I entered the room and hid in a corner, quietly observing the interaction between He Qingxian and Su Qing'er. As soon as Su Qing'er saw He Qingxian, she began to cry, tears falling like beads. "He Lang, I didn't intend to ruin your wedding banquet today. It was just that I couldn't hold back. I was afraid that once you married your new wife, you'd forget about me. I was too anxious, and that's why I acted the way I did. I love you so much. He Lang, you promised you would marry me. Do you not want me anymore?" He Qingxian pulled Su Qing'er into his embrace. "Silly Qing'er, why are you saying such things? We grew up together. You know how I feel about you. But right now, I have to marry Lin Shuluo. Her father is the prime minister, and her mother is a noblewoman. Although I came first in the imperial exams, I have no connections. If I want to reach the highest ranks, I still need the support of the Lin family. But I can only be your concubine now. You promised you'd marry me. Qing'er, calm your heart. Marrying Lin Shuluo is a betrayal to you, but I won't let you be anything less than my legitimate wife. Once I become the prime minister, I'll divorce Lin Shuluo and marry you as my official wife. But Lin Shuluo is so beautiful. What if she bears your child?" Su Qing'er spoke as though on the verge of tears, pretending to be wronged. That won't happen. Every time I sleep with her, I make her drink a potion that prevents pregnancy. The potion is extremely cold and long-term use will make it impossible for her to conceive. This sentence exploded in my mind. So, he had already planned to make sure I couldn't have children. How cunning and ruthless. He Qingxian had truly planned everything so well. Things had become clear. In my past life, after he had achieved success, he planned to abandon me, his stepping stone, and be with Su Qing'er. But things didn't go as he hoped, and Su Qing'er died. He thought it was I who caused her death. Without any real foundation, he didn't dare to openly turn against me, but after reaching a high position, he began to take revenge on me, tormenting me to death. But after my death, Su Qing'er reappeared, and he realized that the one who died in the temple wasn't the real Su Qing'er. The two of them reunited, living a blissful life, and never again thinking about me, the tragic first wife. Qing'er, you're so beautiful, so fragrant. He lang. Soon, there came sounds that made one blush, accompanied by all sorts of lewd and crude words. I had to leave. I feared that if I listened any longer, my ears would be tainted. Qing'er, wait for me. I'll divorce Lin Shuluo and marry you as my only legitimate wife. Such a pair of tragic lovers. I had to push forward and help them achieve their tragic end. But in this life, I would make sure he Qingxian never had peace. I also needed to visit somewhere. The look in his mother's eyes at the wedding banquet had confused me. Even if she disliked Su Qing'er becoming He Qingxuan's concubine, that wouldn't explain the murderous look in her eyes. Now, thinking about it, something didn't sit right. I quietly sneaked into his mother's courtyard. As soon as I entered, I realized there were no maids around. From the main house, heated arguing could be heard. So it's you, He Hong. You've been having an affair with that Su Lian for years. If Su Lian hadn't died early, my son, and I would have been kicked out of the family. How shameless. Back then, when my milk was insufficient, you brought Su Lian here to nurse my son. I thought you were doing this for my sake. I even welcomed them into the house, not knowing you'd be keeping a poisonous snake by your side. Those two, mother and daughter, are truly the same, both little sluts who threw themselves at men. Indeed, my intuition wasn't wrong. No wonder his mother looked at Su Qing'er like that. It was because Su Qing'er's mother had taken her husband. That's why his mother disliked Su Qing'er. Her husband had been taken by Su Lian, and now, even her son was being taken by Su Lian's daughter. I had pieced everything together and was about to leave when my foot slipped, stepping on a stone and alerting those in the main house. Who's there? As the people inside came out, a pair of strong arms quickly pulled me up onto the roof. It was a man, and someone I recognized. Gu Yujing, the legitimate son of the Duke of Gua. I didn't expect the daughter of the Prime Minister, Lin Shuluo, to have such a habit. Gu Yujing crossed his arms, smiling faintly. Looking at his expression, I was a bit exasperated. Is it forbidden? I couldn't sleep, so I came out for a walk. He gave me a once-over, his gaze lingering on me. Dressed like a maid, walking around your in-law's house? I gritted my teeth and nodded. How did he spot me? This was truly troublesome. Gu Yujing and I had known each other since childhood, with our families living close by. He used to jump over the walls to tease me. From a young age, we didn't get along. He would catch bugs and scare me, and I was terrified of bugs. Since then, I always saw him as my nemesis, unable to stand the sight of him. But hadn't he already left for the frontier before my wedding in my past life? Why was he here now? Gu Yujing, didn't you go to the frontier? The troops are resting. It'll be a while. What, you don't like me that much? It's not that. I changed the subject. Then, can I ask, what's the deal with you climbing over other people's walls in the middle of the night? Gu Yujing scratched his nose, not looking at me, just walking around. I gave a meaningful oh. I advised him to leave before someone saw him, as it would cause trouble. Besides, I needed to return and rest, as there was another battle to fight tomorrow. Gu Yujing swiftly left, but not before telling me, take care of yourself. This was the first kindness I had received since being reborn, and it came from my nemesis. I wondered how he would react if he knew what would happen after my death in the past life. Would he clap his hands in delight? As the sky darkened, I returned to the bridal chamber. Sure enough, He Qingxian had not yet returned. After all, how could he get up when he was indulging in such pleasures? I went to bed and fell into a deep sleep. As soon as the sky brightened, I opened my eyes to see the exhaustion on He Qingxuan's face from overindulgence. He was still holding my hand. I immediately got up and subtly withdrew my hand. It was so unpleasant, so early in the morning, and my hand felt unclean. I hurriedly got out of bed and greeted He Qingxian. "Husband, you're back? Is Sister Qinger all right?" Upon hearing Su Qinger's name, He Qingxian instantly put on a disgusted look. "She's fine, just a few minor issues. I came back late last night, and I didn't want to disturb your rest, so I went to the study." He Qingxian gazed at me with deep affection. "Luo'er, I won't abandon you again. Truly such a great actor." Just as his lips were about to land on my face, I didn't want to be intimate with him. However, if I continuously rejected him, he would eventually become suspicious. It was better to be straightforward about it. "Husband, the doctor said that I've been in poor health recently, and I might not be able to bear children. The doctor advised no intimacy during my treatment. It will take 3 years to properly recover." I feigned tears as I spoke. He Qingxian paused for a moment, then quickly regained his composure. He pulled me into his arms. "Luo'er, don't be afraid. I love you. Nothing else matters. Even if you can't bear children for the rest of your life, I'll have you as my only wife." I pretended to shed a few more tears. "Fortunately, Sister Qinga can help you carry on the family line, so I have no regrets. But Luo'er, I don't love her. I swore to my in-laws that I would only marry you. Are you asking me to break my promise? Ever since I saved you on the mountain, everything about you has been etched in my heart. My heart is only for you, no one else. How could I develop feelings for another woman?" I couldn't bear to listen anymore. "Husband, Sister Qinger admires you. I'm happy that she's helping to take care of you. Besides, the world is unfair to women. If you don't give her a son or daughter, how will she endure the rest of her life? Aren't you jealous, Luo'er? If I have children with her, won't you feel jealous?" He Qingxian suddenly became anxious. I looked into his eyes. "I'm not afraid, husband. As long as you have me in your heart and recognize that I'm your wife, I'm not afraid. Once I recover, I'll be able to bear children for you. But if you don't have children in the next few years, people will start gossiping. It would be best if Sister Qinger bears you a child. I just want you to be happy." At this point, He Qingxian had no more rebuttals and simply nodded. "Luo'er, don't worry. I won't fall in love with her. I couldn't care less. It would be best if the two of them got locked together and didn't harm others." Although I was deeply frustrated with him, I didn't show it on my face. "Husband, it's getting late. You should rest for a while." I kindly unfolded the blanket for him, and he looked at me with a sense of appreciation. "Luo'er, it's really great to have you." Finally, I didn't have to worry about him touching me. After what happened in my past life, just the thought of it disgusted me. Looking at He Qingxian sleeping soundly on the bed, I thought, "Sleep well. You won't have many peaceful nights left." He Mu sent word that she suddenly fell ill and would not be attending the tea ceremony the next day. Just as I wished. However, I still had to maintain appearances, so I brought some fine supplements to her courtyard. "Mother, I've come to visit you." He Mu was probably genuinely sick from anger. She was leaning against the bedside with no color in her face. "Good child, get up. There's no need for these formalities. It's Qingxuan's fault. He took a concubine on the day you entered the family. I'm sorry about that." I shook my head. "Mother, don't say that. I'm actually happy to have someone else help care for husband." He Mu's face turned even paler. In my past life, He Mu didn't treat me well because I hadn't borne a child, and she always despised me for it. Before long, Su Qinger arrived with her maid. "Why is mother ill?" Su Qinger was wearing an apricot-colored dress today, and the marks on her chest were clearly visible, almost impossible to hide. When He-Mu saw the marks, she nearly lost her breath. You vixen. Yesterday was my son's wedding, and you vixen, actually seduced him away? I remained silent, quietly watching the two of them. Su Qing'er didn't back down. He Qingxian spoils me. How could I have taken him away? Perhaps it's because someone is incompetent. Her gaze fell on me, and I looked at He-Mu. Mother, it's my misfortune. The doctor says it's difficult for me to bear children, and I won't be able to give husband an heir. Sister Qing'er has worked hard. He-Mu froze for a moment before quickly regaining her composure. Luo'er, don't be afraid. Even if you can't bear children, you're still my son's rightful wife, unlike some shameless women who chase after him. Su Qing'er's face turned pale, and she angrily left. Mother, husband doesn't want other women. If more women were to serve him. Fortunately, Sister Qing'er stayed. Now we need not worry about the He family having no heirs. If Sister Qing'er gives birth to a son, he will be the future successor of the He family. Sister Qing'er will be a great benefactor to the family. I saw He-Mu's pale face, and I knew my goal had been achieved. Mother, take care of yourself. I'll leave now. He-Mu would never tolerate Su Qing'er taking He Qingxian from her. Now, a good show is about to begin. As expected, Mrs. He didn't disappoint me. She selected 4 beautiful young women from out of town overnight. One sedan after another entered the He residence. Upon hearing this, He Qingxian reassured me repeatedly that he wouldn't touch them. Luo'er, trust me, I won't touch any other women. Since my mother sent them, it would be rude to send them away, so I'll keep them here as extra people for meals, he said. I'm still waiting for you to get well and bear our child. I was disgusted. I didn't care, but Su Qing'er did. I had already planted spies in Su Qing'er's courtyard. The report came back saying that after she found out, she had a huge argument with He Qingxian, accusing him of falling into the arms of other women just a few days after their marriage. She said all his promises to her were lies. He Qingxian, unable to endure her nagging, slapped her in a fit of anger. Is this just the beginning? It's already so dramatic. On the day of the return visit, my parents had been waiting for us. The moment they saw me, their tense expressions softened. Because of the wedding incident, my father didn't treat He Qingxian as kindly as before. Father talked to He Qingxian in the main hall, and Mother took me to a back room to speak privately. Mother's face was full of worry. She must have already heard the rumors outside. After 2 days of marriage, my son is already surrounded by concubines, she said, sighing. I reached for the hairpins in Mother's hair, glad that she hadn't yet turned gray. I threw myself into her arms. I miss you, Mother. She pinched my cheek. How is it that after marriage, you act even more like a child? I don't care. I'll always be your child, Mother. Mother, I'm not suffering. I've been through worse, so what I'm going through now isn't so bad. Luo'er, if you want to come back, it's fine to divorce He Qingxian. We can support you for the rest of your life. Your 2 sisters don't want you to suffer either, Luo'er. Why suffer your life in such a family? I nearly cried when I thought of Mother and my 2 sisters' fates in the past life. I didn't dare to tell Mother the truth. I didn't want her to worry. Now, with my parents safe and my 2 sisters living happily in their in-laws' homes, I felt content. Mother, I'll take good care of myself. Don't worry. I'll be fine. I looked at Mother. In this life, I would protect my family. After the summer arrived, a piece of good news came from Su Qing'er's courtyard. Su Qing'er was 2 months pregnant, and it turned out the timing matched the day of our wedding. When He Qingxian heard, he didn't dare face me. Luo'er, it was only that one time. I didn't want to stay that night, but she threatened to kill herself, and I had no choice but to stay. I didn't expect it to happen. Luo'er, I love you. Looking at He Qingxian's deeply affectionate expression, I wondered if this guy thought he could fool me with his acting. I smiled slightly. Husband, this is good news. Qing'er is pregnant so quickly. When he saw I wasn't upset, He Qingxian relaxed a bit. But afraid I might cause trouble, he became even kinder, sending all sorts of delicious food and entertainment to my courtyard. Su Qing'er became even more arrogant in the residence, enjoying only the best clothes, food, and supplies. Mrs. He couldn't stand Su Qing'er's haughty behavior anymore. Fearing that if it continued like this, the entire He residence would belong to Su Qing'er, she decided to take action. I had already planted a few people around Mrs. He to come up with a plan. "Old madam, why don't you buy some stimulating medicine for the master? It won't harm his health, and he could sleep with those 4 young concubines. Once they've shared intimacy, Qing'er won't be the master's favorite anymore." Mrs. He hesitated at first, but when she heard this, the idea struck a chord with her. She immediately ordered someone to buy the medicine. This was a perfect opportunity, so I decided to take matters into my own hands. Disguising myself as a man, no one would recognize me unless they were close. I went to the pharmacy and specifically asked for the strongest aphrodisiac. This raised the eyebrows of the men nearby. And, of course, it was Gu Yujing again. Seeing his expression, I realized he had recognized me. I decided to act first. Clearing my throat, I asked, "Gu, are you feeling unwell?" Gu Yujing sized me up and smiled mischievously. "Oh, Brother Lin, do you have a private condition?" My face turned red instantly, and he leaned in close to whisper in my ear. "Or perhaps He Qingxian has a secret condition?" How awkward. To get my husband to sleep with his concubines, the legal wife is here buying potent aphrodisiacs. And I was caught red-handed by my sworn enemy. Not wanting to linger, I quickly grabbed the medicine, tucked it into my pocket, and left in a hurry. "Wishing you a speedy recovery, Brother Gu. I must be going. This concerns a man's reputation. I hope you'll keep it a secret, Brother Gu." I could already feel my face burning, sure that it was bright red. Before I left, the doctor kindly reminded me, "Young man, remember, moderation. Too much is harmful to the body." I turned back. What's the worst that could happen? Excessive use can damage your foundation, lead to infertility, and prevent future generations. The doctor sighed. I smiled at the doctor. "Thanks for the reminder." This was exactly what I wanted. As I left the pharmacy, I overheard the doctor speaking to Gu Yujing. "How can a young man still not be able to tisk?" Gu Yujing chuckled and glanced at my retreating figure. "Who says not? How pitiful." I was speechless. I handed the potent aphrodisiac I had bought to the person I had planted in old Madame He's room. That night, old Madame He instructed He Qingxian to visit her. She secretly drugged He Qingxuan's meal and locked him in a room with the 4 beautiful concubines. With beautiful women nearby and the potent drug at work, the result was predictable. The 4 concubines became He Qingxuan's women. Su Qing'er found out about this and had a huge argument with him. She felt that He Qingxian couldn't endure loneliness and went to find other women while she was pregnant. At first, He Qingxian apologized, saying he had no intention of staying with them, but Su Qing'er was unmoved. Eventually, He Qingxian got angry and stopped visiting her. One thing led to another. Once He Qingxian had been to another woman's room, it became easier for him to go again. Every time He Qingxian and Su Qing'er argued, he would go to one of the concubines' rooms. Each time, Su Qing'er would throw things in her room in frustration. Listening to the reports from my informants and seeing the dog-eat-dog drama unfold, I felt a deep sense of satisfaction. Soon, one of the concubines became pregnant. He Qingxian, feeling guilty, came to my room to beg for my forgiveness. "Loar, I am in the wrong. I've broken my promise to you. They're pregnant with children. I really deserve to die," he said. "Yes, you deserve to die, but not now." I smiled faintly at He Qingxian. "Husband, I'm not angry. It's a good thing that they're carrying your children. Why would I be upset?" He Qingxian, seeing that I wasn't upset, was relieved. I didn't hold a grudge, unlike Su Qing'er, and that made a clear contrast. "You're the best, Luar," he said. "Rest assured, you'll cry later." Soon, the flower viewing banquet hosted by the Princess Chang arrived. I was on the guest list. Su Qing'er was unhappy she hadn't been invited, so she insisted He Qingxian take her. He Qingxian, unable to resist, requested a spot for her. At the banquet, Su Qing'er wore a red dress. People whispered behind her back, "How dare a concubine wear such bright red? She really has no self-awareness. She's just a wet nurse's daughter, and yet she's so arrogant." Su Qing'er lost face, and He Qingxian was also criticized. How dare he bring a concubine to the Princess Chang's flower viewing banquet? What a disgrace. Minister, he is actually favoring his concubine over his wife. I just smiled and kept quiet, resembling a neglected legitimate wife. He Qingxian, who cared greatly about his reputation, was embarrassed by the scene. His face turned ugly, but Su Qing'er didn't notice and kept complaining. "If I had known, I wouldn't have come. It's so hot, and I'm pregnant, yet others treat me like this. It's really uncomfortable." He Qingxian grabbed Su Qing'er's arm. "I told you not to come, but you insisted. Now look, you've made me lose face." "You're blaming me?" He Qingxian, what do you mean by this? You keep saying you love me, but is this how you love me? Su Qing'er's words hit hard. I was by his side and heard everything. I pretended to be affected, my face pale. At this moment, He Qingxian still needed the Lin family's support, so he dared not neglect me. He quickly supported me. "Loire, don't listen to her. I only love you, Loire. It's just that she's pregnant, so I had to accommodate her." I looked at him with a pitiful expression. "Husband, I believe you." Su Qing'er went wild with rage, even attempting to tear my clothes. He Qingxian shielded me, but in the scuffle, Su Qing'er fell to the ground, blood spilling beneath her. My baby, my baby." Su Qing'er looked in agony. He Qingxian, shocked, rushed to her side. "Qing'er, Qing'er, call the doctor." As chaos erupted, I saw Gu Yujing standing at the back of the crowd, his expression unreadable. Su Qing'er lost her child. When she woke and realized the child was gone, she went into a violent rage, breaking many things. I didn't go to her courtyard, fearing she might lash out and hurt people. Instead, I instructed the maid to send her some medicine to replenish her blood. He Qingxian stayed in her room. "Loire, she just lost the baby, and her emotions are unstable. I'll stay with her. Don't overthink it." I hid my feelings and put on a concerned expression. "Of course, husband. After losing the baby, Qing'e must be very upset. You should stay with her." He Qingxian was satisfied with my response and hurried back to Su Qing'er's room. I was overjoyed. Now let's see how they enjoy themselves. Su Qing'er beat and cursed He Qingxian, her words harsh. At first, He Qingxian allowed her to vent, but gradually, he grew frustrated, feeling that she had lost only one child, and she was the one at fault. When he saw her humiliating him, he became so angry he left. I listened to the servants' reports while happily eating sugar-roasted chestnuts. When He Qingxuan's mother heard about Su Qing'er losing the baby, she was saddened for the lost grandchild. But when she realized the child was Su Qing'er's, her worries lifted. She also heard that Su Qing'er had fallen out of favor with He Qingxian, and her joy was uncontainable. She instructed He Qingxian to be given a strong dose of medicine and sent to another concubine's room. When Su Qing'er recovered, she found that He Qingxian had been staying with other concubines. Furious, she poisoned the food of one of the pregnant concubines with safflower. The child naturally died as well. He Qingxuan's mother was furious. She ordered He Qingxian to severely punish Su Qing'er. He Qingxian still had some lingering feelings for Su Qing'er, so he lightly punished her, locking her in the ancestral hall for a month to reflect. What he didn't know was that this decision would bring him immense pain. The expression on Gu Yujing's face that day left me feeling uneasy. It seemed like something had slipped out of my expectations. Originally, I had planned to find an opportunity to probe him a bit, but unexpectedly, he came to my door in the middle of the night. Not long after nightfall, I got up to drink some water, only to be shocked to find someone in the room. I nearly cried out, but when I saw his face, I calmed myself down. "Master Gu, it seems you have a habit of sneaking into married women's rooms. How rare." Gu Yujing, dressed in white, leaned against the side of the bed, arms crossed, quietly staring at me. Lin Shuluo, what exactly are you planning? My heart skipped a beat, but I kept my calm appearance. What are you talking about? I don't understand. Gu Yujing walked to the table, sat down, and poured himself a cup of tea from the teapot on the table. After taking a sip, he turned to look into my eyes. In the room with no lights on, only moonlight illuminated his face. Lower. I know everything, including how you and your husband have yet to consummate the marriage and sleep in separate rooms. I know it all. Although my heart was in turmoil, I didn't dare to admit anything. This is just the way my husband and I are. You, being unmarried, wouldn't understand. Besides, I've been feeling unwell recently, and my husband is just being considerate. Not to mention, I was about to ask how you, Master Gu, came to know such private matters. I forced myself to stay calm, but my trembling voice betrayed me. Gu Yujing let out a low laugh. You're unwell? I didn't know that someone who is unwell could eat so heartily, finishing 3 big bowls of rice at one meal. I was embarrassed. Had he been watching me this whole time? I didn't realize you, Master Gu, had a habit of spying on others. Gu Yujing stared at me for a moment before his voice grew low and deep. Lower, are you reborn too? I froze in place. Gu Yujing too? Seeing my disbelief, he casually spoke. Lower, you thought it, and yes, I have lived again. In my past life, I died early, and in my memory after I married, Gu Yujing went to the border and never returned, even after I died. I still remember the night before my marriage. Gu Yujing climbed over the wall into my courtyard and asked, Lin Shuluo, are you marrying voluntarily? If not, why not marry me? I can take you in, though it's a bit forced. At that time, Gu Yujing had a playful and cheeky look. Of course, I'm marrying voluntarily. If I married you, we'd probably be fighting every day. Gu Yujing fell silent for a moment before laughing. Then I wish you happiness, Lin Shuluo. After that, I never saw him again until I died in my past life. He probably became a general defending the country. I know what you're planning to do, Lower. I will help you. I think Gu Yujing must have learned about my tragic fate later. That's right. Everyone who wronged me, I'll make them pay back everything. Gu Yujing didn't ask any more questions. He stepped forward and held me in his arms, simply saying, I'll help you. After Gu Yujing left, I began to quiet my mind and think. He too had been reborn. Did that mean he also died early? Upon further reflection, the signs had been there since the night of our wedding. He, who was supposed to go to the border, had appeared in the He Manor instead. I had been so consumed by my desire for revenge on He Qingxian that I hadn't noticed this. Now, Gu Yujing knew my motives and even wanted to help me. This was something I never expected. He actually hugged me? Did he have feelings for me? Thinking back to the question he asked me before our wedding, the thought in my mind felt more and more plausible. Gu Yujing, he really might like me. He Qingxian had been spending his nights in the rooms of his other concubines recently, and his mother, Mrs. He, was ecstatic, constantly using strong aphrodisiacs. He Qingxian thought he was becoming more capable, unaware that it was the drugs that were affecting him. When Su Qing'er found out, she didn't cause a scene. Instead, she seduced He Qingxian in the ancestral hall. A servant came to report while I was drinking corn and spare rib soup, and I nearly choked. It was truly an eye-opener. He Qingxian was very happy, as bouncing between so many women lately made him feel invigorated. He didn't have time to see me, saying he was busy with official matters, which suited me just fine. Then, one afternoon, a servant came to report that something big had happened in the manor. I calmly had my maid prepare me, and followed the servant to the ancestral hall. What I saw when I entered was Su Qing'er, naked except for a small piece of cloth covering her, with another person beside her, He Qingxuan's father, who was also barely covered by a piece of cloth. I raised my sleeve to cover my eyes. I didn't want to develop any eye infections. He Qingxian, standing beside me, was so angry his eyes seemed ready to burst into flames. If it weren't for Mrs. He holding him back, things might have escalated into violence. You shameless woman, how dare you seduce your father-in-law? Am I not enough to satisfy you? Su Qing'er burst into tears, but no matter how she tried to explain, she was caught in the act of infidelity and couldn't deny it. She cried until she was exhausted, then saw me and, like a wild dog, began to bite. It must be you. You must be jealous of me and framed me. Anyone can act, so I tugged on He Qingshuan's sleeve, pretending to be on the verge of tears. Hubby, it's not me. He Qingxian glanced at me and said, "Lower, I believe you." Mrs. He had never liked Su Qing'er, and now that she had seduced her own husband, she was furious. She wished she could skin her alive. Su Qing'er, you're just like your shameless mother, seducing other men. You even wanted to share a husband with your own mother, huh? He Qingxian was stunned. Mrs. He had finally revealed the truth. The wet nurse he respected had seduced his father, and the woman he loved had now seduced his father too. It was laughable. He Qingshuan's gaze towards Su Qing'er turned cold and full of hatred, completely devoid of the tender affection he had once shown. Su Qing'er realized she couldn't clear her name and decided to give up entirely. You really think Lin Shuluo loves you? Someone who truly loves someone would never want to share them. Naturally, Su Qing'er wasn't wrong in what she said. In my past life, I loved He Qingxian, so Su Qing'er was always a thorn in my side. But now, I didn't love He Qingxian anymore, so I didn't care who he loved. But the drama wasn't over yet, and I still had to play my part. Hubby, you know my feelings for you. He Qingxian embraced me. Lower, I know, I believe you. He Qingxian had used me first, so it wasn't wrong for me to use him in return. But somehow, it felt like he had gotten himself too caught up in the act. Lower, you're the only one who's good to me. I swear, from now on, it will only be you. If I break this vow, may I be childless and heirless. He didn't need to break the vow, he had probably already sealed his fate. When Su Qing'er heard this, she burst into laughter. He Qingxian, with your few seconds of pleasure, you probably won't need to break your vow to be childless and heirless, right? Do you know why I went to your father? It's because he's much more capable than you. He made me feel better than you ever did, far more than you could. He Qingshuan's veins popped as he yelled, "Shut up. Nonsense. Bitch." He kicked Su Qing'er away. Perhaps Su Qing'er had hit his soft spot. Given his recent condition, likely caused by the aphrodisiac, it was probably too late for him to be able to father children. This was karma, He Qingxian. He Qingxian threw Su Qing'er into the woodshed, followed by a few big men. Make her comfortable. Su Qing'er's screams and moans flowed out from the woodshed. Look, the man who once loved you so deeply could, in an instant, send you to other men so easily. He Qingshuan's pride had been severely wounded. Su Qing'er couldn't withstand the abuse and was left on the brink of death. I visited the woodshed once. When she saw me, she couldn't speak, but her eyes were still crystal clear. It's you. It must be you. I said only one thing. It's the karma from our past life. This life, it's being repaid. Very reasonable. It was I who had tampered with the incense in the ancestral hall, adding some aphrodisiac powder. It was He Qingxian and his father who couldn't control themselves in the face of desire, reckless and unrestrained. Karma, pure karma. Su Qing'er passed away in the night. The servants reported that she died with her eyes wide open, unable to close them. When He Qingxian heard the news, he simply said, "She deserved it." He continued to console me while frequently visiting the concubines' rooms, but every time, he came back in disappointment. I knew then, he was completely useless. Word spread throughout the capital, and it was said that the newly appointed assistant minister of the Ministry of Works, He Qingxian, was a useless needle, good for nothing. It was pitiful for his wife, who could only live like a widow. He Qingxian tried to defend himself, but no one believed him. Using this momentum, Gu Yijing took the lead in impeaching He Qingxian, accusing him of embezzling the funds allocated for repairing the river dikes, which led to the suffering of the people in southern Jiangnan due to flooding. Other officials soon followed, accusing He Qingxian of corruption and presenting a great deal of evidence. The emperor was furious and ordered a thorough investigation into the matter. As expected, He Qingxian had indeed embezzled the funds, and was imprisoned overnight. Father was not implicated. On the day of my return to my family's home, I went to see Father. I asked him not to intervene on He Qingxuan's behalf and let him take responsibility for his own actions. Father was confused, but eventually heeded my advice and did not assist He Qingxian. I never expected that, without Father's support, He Qingxian would fall down this path. He truly deserved it. The letters accusing him of bribery and corruption were delivered by me into Gu Yujing's hands, where he personally exposed the truth. As a result, I was not implicated. I secretly arranged a meeting in the prison to see what would become of He Qingxian. When he saw me, his eyes lit up. "Luer, save me. I promise you, after I get out, it will only be you." "Really? Believe me, just one last time." He had been in prison for many days, his prison uniform torn and tattered, and he had started to stink. I covered my nose. "You won't be leaving here. Self-inflicted harm cannot be undone, my husband." I smirked as I walked away. At that moment, He Qingxian came to his senses. "It was you who did it." I admitted it. I had been waiting for this day for far too long. "That's right. You are without descendants, and even Su Qing'er and your father being together is my doing. How does it feel to be yours?" He Qingxuan's eyes widened with rage. "You wretched woman! I treated you so well, and yet you did this to me." I brushed off the dust from my sleeves. "You married me for your own reasons, and your relationship with Su Qing'er, you know the truth in your heart." He Qingxian collapsed, sitting down stiffly. "You know everything." He muttered, "Luer, I was wrong. I'll change. Please save me. Will you? Your own sins must be paid for slowly." I walked out of the prison feeling refreshed, but on my way out, I ran into Gu Yujing. Gu Yujing privately reminded me that He Qingxian had been in charge of the river dike repairs. He told me there was something fishy about it, which prompted me to visit the study several times at night. Eventually, I gathered the crucial evidence. This evidence was key in bringing He Qingxian down. Because I provided the crucial evidence, and considering my father's and mother's status, the emperor did not punish me but instead ordered a divorce between He Qingxian and me. This was exactly what I wanted. He Qingxian was sentenced to execution after autumn, and the rest of his family was exiled 1,000 miles away. The vengeance from my past life had finally been avenged. I moved back into the Prime Minister's residence, and my parents, feeling sorry for what I had been through, were deeply concerned. Yet, I felt an immense sense of relief. My 2 older sisters also returned from their husbands' homes and stayed with me for several days, worried that I might do something rash. Seeing our family safe and sound, I couldn't have been happier. To ease my mother's worries, I told her about my experiences in my past life. I wasn't sure how much she believed, but she still felt immense sorrow after hearing my story. Now, with our family safe and sound, my mother was relieved that I was still in her arms. "My child has suffered," she whispered. I curled up in her arms, just like I had when I was younger, and it truly felt like every day was a good day. That night, I had a dream. In the dream, I saw what happened after I lost consciousness in my past life. I saw He Qingxian fall out with his mother after discovering that she had sent people to assassinate Su Qing'er, framing me for it. But Su Qing'er had found a substitute to escape the assassination, leading to our later reunion. He also learned the truth about how his mother had wanted to kill Su Qing'er because she hated Su Qing'er's mother for stealing her husband, which led to her loathing Su Qing'er. At that moment, He Qingxian finally realized that he had wronged me. Not only that, but he also saw Su Qing'er for what she truly was, greedy and unable to bear loneliness, so she had seduced He Qingxuan's father when he was away on official business. He deeply regretted his actions and went to my tomb, drunk and mumbling, "Luer, I was wrong. I was terribly wrong. Only you treated me the best." A figure in black appeared before him. Gu Yujing, surrounded by a cold aura. He drew a long sword and stabbed He Qingxian, saying, "If you want to apologize, go to the underworld. Don't pollute Luer's path of reincarnation." Gu Yujing discarded He Qingxuan's body and knelt before my tomb, crying. Despite being in military attire, he seemed utterly desolate. Luer, I've avenged you. Had I known you suffered so much after marrying him, I would have tied you to me. I thought you could find happiness, so I left without looking back, fearing that seeing you again would break my heart. But I never imagined I would never see you again. Luer, I'm in love with you. Will you marry me in the next life? Gu Yujing took his own life before my tomb. When I saw this, my eyes welled up with tears, and my heart tightened. It was Gu Yujing who avenged me. It turned out that Gu Yujing truly loved me deeply. After waking from the dream, I touched my eyes, which felt like I had been crying. My pillow was also damp with tears. I stumbled towards the wall, as I did when I was younger, and knocked 7 times. Though Gu Yujing and I never quite got along in our youth, we had a special bond. We agreed that whenever we wanted to see each other, we would knock 7 times on the wall. After the 7th knock, Gu Yujing appeared at the wall, just like he had in our youth. Lin Shuluo, do you want to see me? The figure before me slowly merged with the young man I had known. Tears streamed down my face as I smiled at the young man on the wall. Gu Yujing, will you marry me? The end.